So in our moving on in lesson 4.7, where we're working with point slope form, we've been working with, they give us a point, they give us the slope, we can write an equation in that new form that we learned, our third form for a linear equation. Can anybody recite point slope form for me with a hand, and I can call on you? Cody?
The equation?
Yep.
Y minus y1 equals,
Oh, say that right, it's not y1.
or well, y sub 1
Thank you.
equals m times x minus x sub 1.
Yeah. Did you get it right? Yeah, you did. Okay. So that's point slope form. So we're still going to use point slope form today. And then we're still going to put point slope form. We're going to transform it into slope intercept form. Who wants to recite slope intercept form for us? No, not you, Cody. Sorry. Yeah. 9 other people in here who are capable. Also, I know they are. Aurora. Slope intercept form. Y equals mx plus b. Good job. We agree with her, right? Okay. Oh, there's one more thing I need from you. Okay, who's going to be the brave soul for this one? Can't be Cody. It can't be Aurora. There are 9 others of you, though it can be. Okay. 8 others. I'm sorry. There's only 10 of you here. 8 others of you who can. I want to know the slope formula. Noah.
y2 minus y1.
Oh, say that right.
Y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1.
Equals what?
Slope.
And what do we call slope in the equation? M. Good job. Do we agree? He says y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1 equals m. Do we agree? Okay, we're going to use all 3 of those today. Okay? So for those of you who have them to memory, you got a good head start on this. Those of us who don't, we're going to have to, as we keep writing them, maybe they'll eventually go there. So when we're writing the equation of the line given 2 points, because that's what they're going to do to us today, find the slope using the last one that Noah just recited for us, the slope formula. So we're trying to do this algebraically. It's basically what's happening. We're going to do it algebraically. We need to use that slope formula to find the slope first. Because next we're going to use point slope form, and point slope form needs 2 things. It needs the slope, and it needs a point. Notice we haven't learned anything that's called point-point form. If there was a point-point form, we could use it today. But we haven't learned a point-point form. So, and there's not one. So what we're going to have to do is find that slope, then we're going to use the slope and one of those points, and notice what it says here, either one. So would you just circle that? Either one. It really does not matter because they're both on the same line. So whichever one you favor more, that's the one you get to use. But you have to use the slope because there's only one slope for a line. But how many points does a line have?
3.
3? Now how many points do we plot to draw a line? 3. We plot 3 points to draw a line. How many points are there really on a line? There's an infinite number of points on that line. We just use 3. We plot 3 of them to help us draw the line, okay? So don't ever think that just however many points you put on that graph is how many points that line or that equation has. It has a ton more than that. And then we're going to, after we use the slope in one of the points, what we're going to do is we're going to write that in point slope form. So, because we know how to do that now, that's what we've been doing. Give it a slope, give it a point, there's that point slope form that Cody recited for us at the beginning. Then, last but not least, we're going to do just like we've been doing the last couple of days, rename the equation in slope intercept form, that's right. And Aurora recited that one for us. So we know them all. So there's nothing new here today. I'm not teaching you anything new. You're not going to be working with anything that you can't handle. But it was important that we mastered those skills when we were there. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to write down all the things we're going to use in our first bullet point when we're using the slope formula. Let's write down our slope formula. Well, let's do this first. I'm sorry. Let's name our ordered pairs as, let's make this one x sub 1, y sub 1. Let's make this one x sub 2, y sub 2. And then let's write down what is it that we're looking for? We're looking for the slope, and this is the formula we are going to use to be able to find the slope algebraically, because we don't have the graph. We're not going to start with the graph, we're going to end with the graph. So what are we going to sub in? Are we going to be able to sub in for M?
No.
No, M is what we're looking for, right? Okay, so set this up for us. Cody?
So your equation would be 10 minus -2.
I'm going to put that
Over.
-2 in parentheses just so I can show that I'm subtracting a negative, right?
Over 3 minus 1.
3 minus 1, okay. Do we all agree? Can we go with that? 10 take away -2 upstairs, 3 take away 1 downstairs. Should help us find the slope. Okay, then we have M equals, oh, don't you dare put your fingers on those calculators. I'm going to lose it. What do we do with 10 minus -2? We change it to 10 plus 2. 10 plus 2. We don't need a calculator. 3 take away 1, come on. We've been doing that since 2. I had a first grader in here the other night that wanted me to help him with his math, and he's already doing things like 9 plus 8. And you guys gotta go to your calculator for that. And he doesn't get to use a calculator. Oh my gosh. And so 10 plus 2 is 12. And 12 over 2 is what we have now. And 12 over 2 is 6. Oh, please don't. I can't stand the fact that we have to constantly be so calculator dependent when it's this easy. Okay? So now we know the slope. That was an important piece. We had to have that. Now we're going to take that slope. So this was the first bullet point, basically, is what we're doing here. Here's our first bullet point. We're finding the slope with the slope formula. Second bullet point says do what now? What does that one say? Use slope and...
form the graph points either one and write the equation in point slope form.
Okay, use slope and 1 point, and we're going to put it in point slope form. So our slope is 6. And our point, we get to use either one. But you know what? Maybe it'll be less confusing for you because in point slope form, what do they use? X sub 1 or Y sub 1? X sub 2, Y sub 2. Which one?
X sub 1, Y sub 1.
Yeah. But you know what X sub 1 and Y sub 1 really mean? Or what X sub 2 and Y sub 2 really means?
Is the point on which the Y is stationed.
Why do they have these sub 1s and these sub 2s?
To tell them apart.
Just to tell them apart, yeah. One of them gets to claim to be one of them, and the other one gets to claim to be the second one, and it doesn't really matter who gets the claim of which one. One of them, kind of like you and a sibling, when you call who's going to sit where. It's whoever speaks up first usually, or has the biggest punch, I don't know. So, you know, it doesn't really matter. But maybe it would be less confusing for you if you just go back up and say, which one did we call X sub 1, Y sub 1? I don't know.
-2.
Yeah. But we could use the other one because the other one doesn't have any negatives in it, so it might be not, friendlier actually. But let's use this one. Okay, so we know that, because Cody reminded us, here's our point slope form. And every time we write it down, we are so implanting that in our brains, just like making yourself add without the calculator makes you better at it. So we're going to put Y take away what? -2. I'm going to put that in parentheses again just so it stands out, because I don't want to be sloppy with my subtractions and negatives. And then I'm going to put 6 in for M. And what am I going to put in for X sub 1? 1. Okay. Again, this is just like yesterday. We clean this up if we can because we want to know what would its point slope form look like in an answer bank. So how would this look in an answer bank? Let's offer that up.
1 plus 2 equals 6.
Okay. Y plus 2 equals 6 times X minus 1. No double signing going on there, right? Nothing, not multiplying by a 1 that we can get rid of, so you know what? Here we go. There's our point slope form.
We have to write point slope form on this assignment
No, I'll let you just circle it like this. Okay. And then we will move on to our last bullet point, which our last bullet point says slope-intercept form. Transform me, give me a new name. I don't want my point slope form name today. I also want to be called by my slope intercept form name. So I'm going to, what's the first move? Yeah, we're going to do that distributive property, don't we? So we have y plus 2 equals 6x minus 6. Now, notice I did not change it to add the opposite. How come? Sometimes you might feel like it's really crazy too, because it's just as easy to multiply without it. But the only reason that we get away with it a little bit easier is because the slope is not negative. So I think it's probably really still a good idea that we stay in that plus and negative, change it to add the opposite, so that then we don't multiply incorrectly when we're doing our distributive property. Okay, what's our next move? Subtract 2. And that becomes, class, y equals
minus 8.
minus 8 because it becomes a plus and negative 8, which cleans up to minus 8, right? Okay. Okay, how are we going to graph this? Okay, so in other words, you're telling me that b equals negative 8, and m is, when it's 6, it's 6 over 1. What are the ways we can do 6 over 1?
Up 6.
Up 6,
Right 1.
right
Down
1.
6, left 1.
Or we can go down 6,
But there's no room.
left. And sometimes, yeah, only one of them really works because the other one, the graph doesn't allow room for it, because look, our y-intercept is down so far this time that if we want to go down 6, is that going to be a problem? Sure is. So what are we going to do? We're going to use the up 6 how many times? Twice. We need 2 more points and we can get 2 more. So we'll go up 6 and 1 to the right, up 6 more and 1 to the right, and we will draw our line. So go ahead after you get your straight edge and draw your line going through your 3 points.
So if you can't do the other one, you have to do up again.
Yep, and then just use the other one twice. That's right. And we go all the way through our graph. And I'm going to feel pretty good about my line and my equations if what? What do you think would be a really good check here?
See if both your points go through it.
Yeah, let's go see. What were our points again?
1,
negative 2, and 3, 10. Okay, let's see if they both work. 1, negative 2. Oh, look at there. There it is. It was one of our points that we actually plotted, isn't it? It's going through that point. Woo, feeling good about that. And the other one is 3, 10. Well, we might have to go up 6 more again just to see. It'd be here. No, you can't go by my line because I see how I'm off. It's hard to do on the smartboard. Did yours go through order pair 3, 10?
Yes.
I hope so, yeah. I'm feeling good about this. We went through both the points. So instead of starting with our graph and working backwards, we're going to work through it algebraically, and then we're going to let our graph support that we are good. Okay, anybody have questions? Okay, then let's go to the back side. Go ahead, do first step. What is the first step again?
Y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over
Maybe-
y sub 2.
Maybe you want to write it up here just to. Okay. Because our first bullet point is we're going to find slope. So we got this x sub 1, y sub 1, x sub 2, y sub 2. Go ahead, you find the slope and then you can check me out, see if I'm any good. When you're done, will you check to see how I did? How do you feel, Calvin? Am I right?
Yeah.
Or do you want to challenge me? Never be afraid to challenge, because I make mistakes. I'm human. Listen, no. Anybody need to challenge me, or you all agree with me? Okay. I changed it to add the opposite 3 negative. Now we have a negative plus a negative. When we add, no, that's when we multiply. When we add negatives, they have to stay negative. There's no way to borrow money from somebody twice and all of a sudden they owe you money. I wish it was like that, but it doesn't. Okay. So now what are we going to do next?
Y is less than 1
Oh, we already did that. Oh, we're going to, what's that called? I'm sorry, I missed what you were saying. Point. Slope form. Okay, go ahead. You get to pick which point you want to work with, and we have all agreed that we think this is the correct slope. So now we're going to do the second bullet point. You pick the point, because remember, it doesn't matter. You get to decide which one you want to use. Now, let me just give you a little hint. Whenever the slope is a fraction, the slope is going to have to get multiplied by an x value on that right side. So you always want to make sure that you pick the point that you're going to be able to take half of the x value nicely. So in this case, would it work for either of them? Can you take half of -2 nicely?
Yes.
Yeah. Can you take half of 6 nicely? Okay, so in this case, it doesn't matter. What if, though, in one of them, it had been 1 for the x value? Half of 1 would have been half, and then you would have to continually keep dealing with fractions. So whenever we can eliminate having to work with fractions, so my point is, over here, when we put something in here and we have a fraction here, we want it to be able to multiply nicely if we have a choice, okay? I think I got my point so far. I don't know why I'm going crazy here. I think I'm there. Now, that's if you use the first point. That would be your point slope. Point slope form name. By the way, how many point slope form names do you think a linear equation has?
Infinity.
How come?
Because you can have as many points on the line as you can count.
Yeah. So there's an infinite number of points on the line. So you can take any point from the line and the slope, and you can write an equation in point slope form. So there's an infinite number of names. So this is one of its names. Anybody have another name for it? Anybody get another name for it for me? Anybody use, in other words, I'm kind of asking this question, anybody use this point with the slope? Anyone? You did, Cody? Okay, what's its name when you use that one?
Y plus 1 equals -1/2 times x minus 6.
Okay, I agree. So there's another point slope form name for it. I could count that one wrong. Does that mean then that no matter what you put down is going to be right because there's an infinite number of names? Does it mean that no matter what you put down, you can get mad at me if I mark your point slope form name wrong, you can say, Mrs. LeGrand, you said there were an infinite number of point slope form names for any equation. How can you mark this wrong? Cody?
Because if your equation has the points not on the line that is required, then it can be wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. How many other points are there on the coordinate plane that are not on that line? How many other points are there? Let me go back to the front side here. How many other points are on this coordinate plane that are not on that line? There's 1,000 infinite number of those also. There's so many points that are not also on that line that there would be a bunch of wrong names also. There's a whole bunch of right names, but there's also a whole bunch of wrong names. So I get to mark them wrong, and it's not really one of the names. Okay, now we put it in slope-intercept form. But how many slope-intercept form names do you think there are?
2
An infinite number? 2.
in this way.
Okay, Cody, you're working with yours, right?
Yeah.
Is anybody else working with the same one Cody is? Okay, Cody, go ahead. And let's do our slope-intercept form now. Let's do our slope-intercept form. And let's see if we get at least, well, we should get maybe 2 different names because we got 2 different point slope form names.
There's only one slope-intercept form name.
If you can convince these guys of that. Check me out, am I right?
Yeah.
Okay, Cody, am I right?
Yes.
Because why, Cody?
Because no matter what you use, you always end up with the same slope-intercept form.
How can we get more than one slope-intercept form name? Somebody explain to me how we could get more than one. How can we make that happen? Because you know what, you're going into math books as a contributor to the math world. You can tell me how we could have possibly more than one wide slope-intercept form name. No one wants to go to math books? I discovered this. And then tell me why. I'm going to tell you right now that there's only one name, only one slope-intercept form name for any linear equation. Why? Julia?
Because if you change it,
Oh, and then every line only has one slope, one y-intercept, right? Every line only has one given slope. It can't change somewhere along the way. That whole line has the same slope between any 2 points, and it only has one place it crosses the y-axis. It only has one y-intercept. So how would we ever be able to give it more than one slope-intercept form name? We can't, can we? We better all get the same thing for that. Okay, go ahead and graph it if you haven't.
that's right, except for it doesn't have 6, -1, it doesn't work with that.
It does.
No, because -2 and 3, it works.
Can I show this here?
Sure.
Or,
Sure you can.
Alright, so you have, since your thing was down 1, 2, down 1, 2.
Oh, it's over 2, I thought it was over 1, but never
Oh,
mind.
there you go. Okay. Yeah, she found one.
This was 6, -1.
Good job, Cody. So in other words, if you just kept doing the slope and plotting more points, you'd eventually land right on that one, wouldn't you? How about the other one, ordered pair -2, 3?
It's your
Was
first.
that one of your points you plotted in the first place, maybe? Okay, because it's right here, isn't it? It's -2, 3 right here. Okay. Again, are we feeling good about our stuff? Yeah, that line's going right through those 2 points that we started with. Okay. Questions on that one anywhere else along the way that, we got one more to do together here quickly. Okay, well, here's a problem. You come across this problem and they say, oh, the x-intercept is 3 and the y-intercept is -6. Huh. And we're supposed to write an equation for a line that has an x-intercept of 3 and a y-intercept of -6. Yeah, if we learned anything like that along the way? Is there a x-y intercept for us? Julie? Okay, so standard form, so in other words, if we use standard form, maybe what might it possibly look like? If we were going to use standard form, remember that's ax plus by equals c, right? What would it maybe look like? Maybe it could be this. Maybe it could be 3x plus -6y equals, I don't know, make up a number. Could it be that? Is the number that x is being multiplied by the x-intercept? Is that what we learned in? Is the number that the y is being multiplied by the y-intercept? No, I don't think anybody ever touched that. Cody?
It's actually saying the x-intercept is 3, 0, and your y-intercept is actually 0, -6.
Yeah, these guys have ordered pair names, don't they? So, like Cody said, this really means that we have that point on the graph. If the x-intercept is 3, it is crossing the x-axis at that ordered pair, at that point. And if the y-intercept is -6, that would be this ordered pair, 0, -6. So what do we have here now?
We have a regular equation.
We got our 2 points, don't we? So we can do everything we've been doing. Now we find what first?
Y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1.
So we're going to find slope first. So go ahead and do that. Let's see if we get we can agree on a slope. Does order matter in this? Once you decide which one's going to be y sub 2, do you have to start with x sub 2 downstairs? Absolutely. So be really careful about that. Okay, does anybody agree with me that the slope is 2?
Yes.
Yeah? You feeling good about that? Okay. Hey, I'm thinking that we could write the equation in slope-intercept form right now. Would we really even need to put it in point-slope form to be able to transform it into slope-intercept form?
No.
Why not?
Because
Because we already know the y-intercept, and we already know the slope. You know what? We're going to skip the point-slope form step. I don't know. I just made that crazy decision right now. We're going to skip. I'm just going to let you in this case. Skip point-slope form. It's okay. I'm giving you a break.
Because they both have zeros.
Well, not necessarily because they both have zeros, but there would be zeros, yeah, in the point-slope form name. I'm not saying that we couldn't write it in point-slope form. Does anybody think they know what one of them would be? Point-slope form name would be?
y minus 0 equals 2 times x minus 3.
Okay, so there's one of them, y minus 0 equals 2 times x minus 3. There's one of the point-slope form names. What would the other one be?
Can I answer this one?
Anybody else think they know it, or does Cody have to come to the rescue again?
Y plus 6.
2 times.
2 times x minus 0.
Yeah. So there's, those are its point-slope form names. But we said we can go right to doing slope-intercept form, which is what? Y equals
2x minus 6.
2x minus 6. I don't want us to forget how to do that also. You know what, sometimes we don't have, if all they want in the end anyway is slope-intercept form, maybe we get to skip a step every now and then. It's okay. But now we're going to graph it. So m equals 2, b equals -6, and we're gonna make sure it does cross the x and the y axis at those two locations that they gave us in the beginning. I'm just going crazy making points here. Well, of course it crosses at -6, because that's where we put a point to start with, didn't we? The question is, does it cross the x-axis at +3?
Yes.
Does it? Yes, Cody?
I've already used it.
Sure. Okay, anybody have any questions? Well, I would borrow you an eraser, but it appears that all of them were borrowed out and not returned to me. Well, then we're gonna stop, get out a sheet of loose leaf paper,